Now available for pre-order on Kindle. Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Learn how to avoid predatory females in their virtual con games with Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Pre-order your copy of Stop Simping in Cyberspace on Kindle today. Many American women are now asking the question, why don't men approach me? Now, many of these women they don't understand what has happened over the last couple of years because many aren't really thinking critically about the concept of cause and effect. And because many women are not thinking critically about the concept of cause and effect, they really don't understand the consequences and ramifications of people who were a part of the Me Too movement, nor do they understand the consequences and ramifications of the recently overturned Bill Cosby sexual assault conviction. Now, many of these women out here who are wondering why men don't approach them these days need to go out here and ask women like your Tanara Burke, your Rose McGowan, your Asia Argento, your Oprah Winfrey, and many others like Gloria Allred, why men don't approach them. Because it's due to the fact that the Me Too movement has gone out here and created legislation that makes it nearly impossible for men to go out here and approach them. And with the precedent that was set by the recently overturned Bill Cosby sexual assault conviction, we were under the legal standard of trust and believe. And under the standard of trust and believe, all it takes is for a woman to go out here and make an allegation of sexual assault or sexual violence, and a man could go out here and he could lose his job, he could lose his career, he could lose his professional reputation, and he could possibly lose his freedom. So a man out here had a lot to lose under the standards of trust and believe that were pushed by the Me Too movement and pushed by your feminists out here. And as a result of that standard of trust and believe, this is why many men out here were keeping their distance from women. So most men these days don't have any incentive to go out here and approach a woman, because if he approaches a woman, that woman can go out here and she can, if he's on the job, run down to the human resources department and then get that man possibly written up for sexual harassment claim, or she can get him terminated from his position at that job, and that can cost him his ability to make a living. Now, that is one of the core reasons why many men are avoiding contact with women at work, because most men need their jobs in order to make a living. Now, a man, when he's out here, he is the only one who can go out here and provide for himself, and he cannot afford to lose his job because some female went out here and made an allegation against him. Because an allegation of a sex crime or sexual harassment, this could cost a man his professional reputation, and it can make it where he's almost unemployable. So many men sit there and say, yes, that woman might be very attractive that works at the job or works around the job, but he's not going to go out here and risk his livelihood in order to get involved with her. Now, with the escalation of the Me Too movement making many basic actions that a man takes possibly criminal, many more men have even less incentive to go out here and approach women. Now, many of these men out here, they don't want to go out here and just be winding up having a police officer knocking on their door or a possible threat of an arrest just for looking at a woman or even saying hi to a woman. So many of those men, they don't want to wind up losing one of the most important intangibles of manhood, which is their freedom. And because they don't want to wind up losing their freedom, this is why many men would rather just sit here and avoid making contact with women because many men out here have way too much to lose, because no man wants to wind up getting arrested for an alleged sexual assault, all because a woman said so, when all he did was just go up to her and say hi. That's just too much for a man to lose in as related to things, but you can't explain that to many of America's women, because many of America's women sat there and remained silent and then allowed these feminists who were a part of the Me Too movement to go out here and change the social rules, not understanding there's a whole cause and effect to things. When you go out here and you make allegations like the women of the Me Too movement have made, this goes out here and it has an effect on the way men approach women. When you go out here and you have women out here saying that, oh, I will have you fired for going out here and saying hi or good morning, that has an effect on the man. That makes him say, look, I'm going to avoid dealing with these kinds of women, because what happens is, if I go out here and say this, I'm going to wind up losing at the end of the day, and I have too much to lose because I want to go out here and be able to make a living in order to take care of myself. Because if I don't make money, I'm not going to be able to take care of my rent and my bills and be able to feed and clothe myself and house myself. So I cannot afford to lose my living all because of a female. Now, many of these men out here, they do want to go out here and approach women like many men did back in the day. Many men, they want to go out here and do this. Unfortunately, their hands are tied by new corporate policies, and they're tied by modern day legislation that these feminists went out here and pushed. Now, many of those feminists went out here and pushed this kind of legislation because many of these women, they were old, they were faded, they had already had their time in the sun, and they were really jealous of these younger women coming up, and they wanted to go out here and trip those younger women up to prevent them from gaining access to all of the men out here. Now, these women, like your Tanara Burks, your Rose McGowans, your Asia Argentos, these women, they've got their little beta male boyfriend, but they want to keep many of the younger women from gaining access to the quality men out here. So they go out here and talk about Me Too, even though in the cases of women like your Rose McGowans and your Asia Argentos, they were on the casting couch letting guys practically run all through them. But then they want to talk about protecting women, but they're basically out here to impede other women from being able to make that connection with a man. The whole thing is, they've already gone out here and messed up the game, and now they want to go out here, and the other women out here are wondering, well, why don't men approach me? Well, they're not going to approach you because there's just, again, too much for them to lose, and it's these crazy precedents that have been set that make it where a man just isn't going to even try to approach any woman anymore, because he just does not want to take a risk that would cost him everything that he worked for, and possibly even wind up costing him his freedom. So many of these women out here, they don't understand the concept of cause and effect. They don't understand when you go out here and fight for somebody, let somebody fight for a political cause for you, it has an effect on you overall. And when they go out here and speak for you, they say things that can hurt the entire group overall. So that's the lesson many women have not really figured out. They have not figured out the whole concept of cause and effect, because the Me Too movement and the feminists, they have gone out here and driven a further chasm between men and women, and now they have made it where men just don't want to approach women, because most men don't want to go out here and lose their job or wind up with a police officer talking about they're going to arrest them for a crime that never happened? And why is it that it's considered a crime for a man to go out here and approach a woman? That's a critical question that many women need to ask the feminists out here who created these policies. They need to ask them, why is it a crime for a man to go out here and approach a woman? I mean, that's what most women want a man to do. They want men to go out here and approach them, introduce themselves, and try to make a connection with them, because that's the basic social rules that are imprinted in a society. Most women want the man to go out here and introduce himself, because that's a sign of leadership, and that's a sign that he's willing to go out here and take the initiative. Unfortunately, most men cannot go out here and approach women anymore, because if he cold approaches, she will go out here and dial 911, and if she dials 911, he's looking at possibly going to jail for several years, basically just trying to get a phone number. And that's just really crazy when you think about it, but that's the type of feminist policy that has been established as the unwritten social rule. And that's something most American women really need to think about, because when you let feminists speak for you, they create extreme policies that prevent you from being able to connect with men, be able to have relationships with men, and be able to go out here and possibly go out here and find that man who would possibly be your husband. Now, many of these women out here, again, they're sitting there wondering, oh, why don't men approach me? Well, again, go ask those feminists in the Me Too movement. Go ask people like Oprah Winfrey, who promoted misandry for many years, and go ask all of those females out here who pushed that narrative against Bill Cosby. Those are the women who are keeping you single, and those are the women who are out here. They've got a man in some cases, or some beta chump, but they don't want you to have a man. And again, they don't want you to be approached, because they want your misery in their company. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to try my SJS Direct publications, like Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, to learn why so many black women are single, you can pick that book up on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And you can also find it on Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available for the first time in paperback, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. Learn all the reasons why so many black women can't find a husband, and why 70% of black women are single. Get your copy of Why 70% of Black Women Are Single on Amazon.com today.